Let's switch back to gold with Sam Smith, Executive Director and Chief Development Officer at Santana Minerals. Sam is a mining engineer with broad experience in open pit and underground mining disciplines. He has worked extensively for contracting and mining companies at projects throughout Australia and overseas, and has also held significant executive roles. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Great to be here. This was actually the conference last year where we showed that famous video of the Minister of Resources in New Zealand, Minister Shane Jones, who was running around the country, mainly Australia and North America, trying to convince the providers of international capital that New Zealand would again be open for business, for investment in mining, in the mining space. And we were playing that video because we were trying to convince our own investors that our project, located in New Zealand, was short for development sometime next year. So we were happy that the bill, the fast track approvals bill that the minister was talking about, the instrument that would change the regime, got ratified into law in December. But what happened after that, we could never really imagine. And if you missed it, let me show you a recap on how NZ has now claimed the #1 spot in mining and investment attractiveness.
So this morning, we're announcing our new fast-track consenting one-stop shop regime.
I am the Minister of Resources. If there is a mining opportunity and it's impeded by a blind frog, goodbye freedom. And with this legislation, mining will be turbocharged.
So if you missed that table at the end, the Fraser Institute has now listed New Zealand above every state in Australia as the most attractive place to invest in mining in our region. And I must call them next week and thank them for putting that report out the week before Diggers and Dealers. So location, we used to call New Zealand the 8th state of Australia, which gave comfort to our own investors in terms of being able to get a project up and running. But now we are proudly New Zealand based because it's actually a point of difference. South Island of New Zealand, an hour away from Queenstown, 25 minutes away from the town of Cromwell, 8,000 people there. When you drive into Cromwell, you see mini excavators, civil earth moving equipment. It's a services hub to Queenstown itself, and it's an area that's steeped with a gold mining history from the 1860s, the 1930s, and now with our project, the Bendigo Ophir project. We are also 90 kilometres away from the famous Macraes gold mine. There it is over there, owned by Oceana Gold, and one of only 2 gold mines in New Zealand, both owned by the same company. So you can imagine how important it is for New Zealand to get our project into production. And again, we are listed in that law, that fast track law, as a project eligible for fast track consenting, which is essentially a 6-month permitting timeframe from the point that we get our application in, which is a matter of weeks away. And a great analogue there because the Macraes mine's been going for 35 years, and a huge contributor to the economic benefit of the Central Otago region. Just remember that tenement shape on that slide there, that's us there. Just remember that shape, it'll be important as we move through. There it is again there in the inset. The little red square there, which is the project area you're looking at, is only 10% of the broader tenure. Already we've made 4 discoveries. The main event is called Rise and Shine. We call it RAS. I'll call it RAS from here on in. In RAS, there's 2 million ounces at 2.4 grams per tonne, and that is the company maker for Santana Minerals. The other satellite deposits are meaningful in their own way, lower grade but nearer to surface, will be included in the mine plan at the right time. See that blue dotted line there? That's the Thompson Gorge fault line. It's the major fault structure where all of our deposits either outcrop or subcrop, and it's the structural pathfinder to other discoveries. I'll talk about that at the end of the presentation. But it's all about Rise and Shine, RAS. This is the RAS deposit looking down on it in plan view. What we're seeing there is a mineralised system that's 450 metres wide, and so far has been traced 1.7 kilometres down plunge. It's a beast, it's very big, but the high-grade core denoted in that purple colour there, running down the axis of the deposit, is about 150 metres wide, runs about 4.5 grams per tonne, and that is what we're going to concentrate on mining. And I'm going to slice it into cross sections now so you can turn it 90 degrees and see through it, particularly at cross section A. We'll step through it. We're very proud about the continuity and the grade of this discovery of national significance. It's the most significant gold discovery in New Zealand in over 40 years. So slicing it across section A there, what we're seeing, that purple shape, that high-grade core, 42 metres at 8.8 grams per tonne. You look at the drill intercepts next to it, you've got 35 at 8.5, 37 metres at 11 grams per tonne. You put that into perspective, it's probably about 3 times the height, maybe 2.5 times the height of this room, and 150 metres wide, and persists over 1 kilometre long. So it's a gigantic sausage of high-grade material that is going to run down the middle of our pit. If we step 400 metres to the north, you see that shape is still there. The high-grade core still persists, still 30 metres high, still 100 plus metres wide. 400 metres north again, the shape is still there. Very continuous ore body. That's what mining loves. Easy to define, easy to mine. It's flat-lying as well, so all of those intercepts are close to true width. 2 weeks ago, let's look at it in long section, you get a really good idea of the continuity here as well. 2 weeks ago, we announced more drill results further down to the north, down plunge. It's getting pretty deep there, so it's relatively untested, but that's a story that's unfolding now. Put out some more drill results, 31 metres, 32 metres at 5.5 grams per tonne. We called it the honeypot. So this system is just getting deeper, it's getting thicker, and the grades are still there. Here's what it looks like in real life, sheep and beef country. So it's not the fjord land. People think of New Zealand, the snow-capped Alps of Queenstown, Milford Sound fjord land. It's sheep and beef country, private freehold farmland. We've got agreements in place to mine. In fact, we've moved to transact on one of the stations. That's Argyle Station to the left of the screen at Shepherd's Valley there. All of our infrastructure will go into that valley, so that's quite important. Just remember that as we step through. But essentially what you're seeing there, the gold bar is the Rise and Shine deposit at RAS, and that'll be the open pittable portion of our project. When it persists deeper under Shepherd's Creek, we'll go underground, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So between two valley systems, there's the blue dotted line, the Thompson Gorge Fault line in the Rise and Shine Valley, again, where all of these deposits outcrop or subcrop. Just stepping back a bit, the location on the top right-hand corner there, that's where the pit will be, is in an area that's absolutely blessed with infrastructure. I alluded to it before. When you drive into Cromwell, you see all of those services there. We've got access to fresh water, great for processing, a residential workforce at Cromwell. We've got Wanaka to the north and Alexandra to the south, catchment of about 35,000 people. Some of those people already servicing other local projects. Access to hydropower, low-cost power, green energy from the Clyde Dam. So all of the stuff that you normally have to mobilise to a remote project is already at the doorstep of the project, which is one of the reasons we'll be a low-cost producer. So no FIFO, no airstrips, catering contracts, no major camps, it's all right there. We updated our pre-feasibility study 3 or 4 weeks ago. This will underpin the data set that we take through to the funding scenario. We're very happy with the outcomes. We'll have a 1.2 million tonne per annum plant. That will give us 13 years of mine life at the RAS pit. We'll mine that in 7 stages, starting at the south, where there's a near surface ore. We'll actually be mining that at 1.5 grams per tonne and funding the development of the project, vectoring in on that high-grade core that I showed you before. And that will last 13 years. Mining it at 2.75 grams per tonne. Who's doing that in an open pit at the moment? We'll pull 1 million ounces out of that open pit, and then we'll go underground. Largely mining it with 250 tonne diggers on the waste, 100 tonners on the ore, probably a 90 tonne 777 style fleet of trucks. We'll go underground in year 7, and the underground mine will last 7 years. There's a bit of flexibility in that because the twin decline comes off Shepherd's Valley, so it's not contingent on the pit plunging down. We'll mine the underground at about 2.7 grams per tonne, currently 300,000 ounces in indicated category that we've put into the mine plan, but we're constantly drilling those down plunge northern extensions and converting inferred material into the indicated category. So this will just go on and on. This will be the life of the project at RAS while we go off looking for the next RAS discovery on the tenure, which I'll talk about soon as well. So in terms of the gold output, top right-hand corner of the screen, the gold production profile, there's the 60,000 ounces I mentioned in year one when we access that 1.5 gram dirt, which is company making grade for other companies. And we'll use that $60,000 of gold sales to fund the development of those extra cutbacks. So by year two, we're punching out 120,000 ounces per annum. We're mining the pit at that stage at about 3.5 grams per tonne. In year six, we have the option to scale up that 1.2 million tonne per annum plant to 1.8 million tonnes per annum, but we don't have to do it. We've actually baked the designs into the flow sheet, so we have capacity in the crushing circuit, the elution circuit, and the leach tanks to make that decision should we choose to. But with that production profile, and there's the underground material coming in year seven, we're making a lot of cash, $2.5 billion of free cash on that 13.5-year mine life, just to get us started. And it is just the beginning. There's also another 500,000 ounces of inferred material at RAS, and we'll work at converting that as well. So in terms of the metrics, it's going to cost us $250 million to get this project started. I've baked in a 10% contingency, so we've put $277 million of pre-production capex into the discounted cash flow. We're producing gold at $1,842 per ounce, all-in sustaining costs, $300 per ounce of that is the Crown royalty. We see that as a win-win, and surely they're very keen. In fact, I'd like somebody to do a piece of work on all of the projects in the fast track law, because I think we're probably the #1 contributor in terms of the economics to the government. So on a gold price of $4,950 per ounce, this project today has a value of $1.5 billion. Our market cap today is around 400, so that is the value gap that you will see close as we get into development early next year. Time's running out, I won't go into the mine layout, but all of our infrastructure in Shepherds Valley, that's why we moved to transact on the Ardgow station, process plant, tailings facility, waste rock stack, all there. In terms of that process plant, again, 1.2 million tonne per annum, possibly moving to 1.8. This is the simplest part of our project from a technical perspective. All free milling gold, we're getting 93% recoveries overall, 30% gravity recovery, low reagent costs, great leaching kinetics, leaches in about 8 hours. Very simple CIL flow sheet. Oh, we have to put this table into our announcement when we release the PFS, but we added price steps above and below the spot price, but we added a column to the left to show you that this project works even if the gold price halves. So this is not a gold project that only works because of the increase in the gold price. In a strong wind, only a turkey can fly. So this is a greenfields discovery that stands on its own two legs and is very robust. In terms of the schedule, we are weeks away from getting our application for our final consents in. Once it goes in, 6-month permitting timeframe, we expect to be in construction Q1 of next year, which will give us that 14-month build that I mentioned before, 14 months to strip the top off the hill, build the process plant, establish the mine. We're pouring gold Q2 2027. And a bunch of early works happening at the moment. In fact, we let off our first blast 2 weeks ago, winning some quarry material to sheet some of the roads up on the ridge. We're widening roads, trying to bring all of the services that we can to the doorstep of the operation. So when we get the green light early next year, we're ready to go. We've got a board and management that have done it all before. Peter Cook's our chairman. We've got $47.5 million in the bank. So we're fully funded right through to a mining decision. So if you want this stock, you've got to buy it on market now. The number 2 question I keep getting is, do you think there's another RAS, another major discovery on your tenure? And I've never really spoken about this before, but you see that gold square there, that's the project area that I've just been telling you about. What about the other 30 kilometres of strike on this very fertile tenement? A number of other thumping gold anomalies or soil anomalies at Dans and Orkneys that we're yet to get across. And the last time I was there, I was in Thompson's Valley, so beyond the project area, where there's 2 kilometres of stacked tailings from the old timers. As far as you can see, river stones pulled out of the creek. So something major happened back there, of its scale for that time. That gold was bleeding from somewhere, probably from rocks like the RAS discovery. So I think the answer is absolutely yes. There's much more discovery upside on our broader tenure. And we're getting across it. The guys have just mapped another 5 kilometres of the Thompson Gorge fault line. And remember, that's the structural pathfinder to our discovery. So looking for, obviously, those structures coincident with those soil anomalies. So we have a very high grade, high value, nationally significant project that is being shepherded through the consenting process by the government to get us into construction early next year. And I want to make a little prediction. This project in years to come will be the pride of Cromwell and will reignite the Central Otago Goldfields story. And I know this is going to be true because we've had over 1,000 job applications in the last 6 months. And I met one of those applicants in a pub in Cromwell last time I was there. It was a truck driver driving from Wanaka 2.5 hours to a neighbouring project. She had to buy a caravan. She couldn't afford a room to rent. 2.5 hour drive to get to work. And when I told her that I worked for Santana, she got all excited and said, "Sam, if you can get that project up and running, I can be at home every night and back to my kids sleeping in my own bed." And that's why we're building this project, obviously for our shareholders, but those people in Cromwell, every family in Cromwell, Wanaka and Alexandra will either have somebody or know somebody that works at this project in years to come. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Sam.